something from now until week 1 that you want to see this group improve on the most? And again, I know you haven't had pads on yet, so it's a big question.
Well, we're getting pads on soon. I think the biggest thing for us, we talked about it, I've got my tight end manual, we talked about just kind of some of our philosophy, but we want to develop the kind of personality, if it's 3rd and 1 and we need to get a yard, that Coach Baldwin wants to call a play that runs behind us, or he wants to go to us. And it's just kind of having that toughness, that mentality like, hey, ride with us, we're going to get it done. And I think we've got that in us. All those guys are competitors. I mean, it's one thing, people know Jalen, and he's kind of goofy. If you watch his podcast, he's having fun, he's all that. That dude is as competitive as anybody I know. I mean, he hates to lose. He wants to compete in everything. And so you take a guy like that and you channel that competitiveness into that toughness. And I know he's got it. So that's what we're going to try to develop. Fall camp is a grind. It's, we're going to test them mentally and physically, and that's what we want to come out of it with, which is like our tight end room. If you're going to count on somebody to get it done in crunch time, it's going to be our group.
Thank you very much. Will's Rice. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Jason, how you doing? So, coming out of spring practice, what were your takeaways from your position group?
Just a great group. I think a lot of versatility within the position group. I think everybody brings a little different flavor to the room when you go across the board with our 4 scholarship guys. I think they all complement each other very well, and we can get in some different personnel groupings too, where our 12 personnel sometimes is going to be bigger with Messiah. It could be longer and faster with Bryce, and we can get into some 13 stuff with Ryan, because Ryan brings a certain element of physicality too, and I thought he had a great spring. So really like the group. For me, making the jump to this level, to have a group of guys not only that are talented, that are mature, that have been in the program, but also that are just really good people, that were really open and accepting to me coming in, and I think their willingness and desire to be coached by me, and I was just really impressed with them on and off the field. I've really enjoyed getting to know them, having them over to my house for dinner, and seeing them spend time with my kids. I mean, there's still, that's the one thing coming up from high school. You try to build that culture and that family element and that brotherhood, and it's cool to see that. I think Coach Dillingham's done a great job building that, and we've got some guys, especially like the guys in our tight end room, that are bought into that. They love Arizona State, they love each other, they're buying into that. It's fun to be a part of that.
And I talked a second about Jalen, acting goofy, podcast and all that, but really, really serious when it comes to stepping on the field. That's probably something you really shouldn't take for granted. A guy like him that has a breakout season, getting a lot of accolades. I mean, I talked to Yogi Roth the other day. He says, he's one of the faces of the program, but he really doesn't really act as somebody who lets all that get to his head.
No, he's unbelievable. I mean, obviously, ton of attention, ton of positive things going on. He's got a great dynamic personality. He loves doing that, but he is a competitor, and he's tough, and he wants to be great. He wants to challenge himself. We've had some great conversations just about where he's trying to go and how he gets there and how he faces some of the things that the expectations that people have of him. But he's a fun dude to be around. I just said this: when your best players are your hardest workers, when they're your best culture guys, you usually have a good team, and Jalen fits that mold. He's without a doubt one of our best players, without a doubt one of the faces of this program, and he shows up every day and he gives us everything he's got. He competes his tail off, and I think Sun Devil fans should be proud to have a guy like that wearing the maroon and gold.
What do you work with him next on? What does he need to focus on to really be that high NFL prospect?
Yeah, we went into spring ball and we really challenged him, kind of playing in the core, in his run blocking, his physicality at the point of attack, and doing some of those things. And I thought he really rose to the occasion. He was really physical in spring. He made huge strides. Now I think it's, with a kid like him who's just so naturally gifted, he can get away sometimes with maybe less than ideal technique. And so now we take those things and we really just fine tune. We always talk about this as like he's just tighten the screws and tighten the screws and tighten the screws, and he's willing to allow you to push him and challenge him on that too. So, which is good, because sometimes when you have a player like that that's achieved a certain level of success and a certain standard or whatever pecking order on the team, sometimes those guys are hard to challenge because they feel like, hey, no, I got this already. But he's not that guy. He allows me to challenge him. He wants to be better. He wants to be great. So that's it. We just continue to try to dissect his game and find the areas where we can continue to tighten.
He always looks like he's having fun. Like, even in practices, dude looks like he's having fun.
Yeah, no doubt. And I would always say this. It's crazy to think this, but I mean, guys coming out of high school, sometimes they love the recruiting process. They love the attention. They love you're on the team and you're hanging with your buddies. But if you don't really love football, you're not going to stick at this level. It's just way too much of a grind. I mean, I don't care whether it's winter workouts or spring ball or you start looking at our fall camp schedule. I mean, if you don't love football, you ain't going to make it through fall camp. And so that's what's special about a player like Jalen is he truly loves the game. He loves to compete. He loves to be around his teammates. He loves to be with his coaches. He's a pleaser. He wants to please his coaches. So those are the kids that have success and can play this game for a long time. And the guys that I had to play for me at Saguaro that went on and had success in college, that was the one common theme is when it was all said and done, they love the game of football and they love the grind and the process. You've got to love the process because it's not just showing up on Friday or Saturday and making big plays and ended up on highlights and Twitter and all that stuff. Like the Monday through Friday is a grind, and if you don't love it, it's hard to get to the payoff.
Just tell them no roller coasters.
No roller coasters.
You heard that story, right?
No, not yet.
Ask him about when he and Jordan Clark went on the roller coaster at New York, New York.
Okay.
He said that his harness came undone. And he's like halfway through the ride hanging upside down with no harness.
Now listen, I know Jalen well enough to know like it might have been loose and he might have just exaggerated on
He
that.
said it came off.
There's no way that big body is staying in the coaster if his harness comes out. He's definitely slipping out.
So anyway,
I'll ask him about it. That's hilarious.
So Jason, I want to ask you about Messiah Swinson and how much having such a dominant tight end next to him and Jalen can really help his game.
Yeah, no, I mean they make us have the ability to be multiple, and get into different personnel groupings, get them together. I mean that's two big bodies. I mean obviously Messiah is tall and long and physical with his hand on the ground, but Jalen's 260 something pounds and is physical too. So that element to our offense allows us to be able to have a physical downhill run game, which opens everything up. The ability to run the ball like that behind big bodies opens up the play action pass game, and both those guys can stretch the field vertically. And I know Messiah had a lot of success with that last year off the play action game and working the seams vertically. And he made a catch today in our little shortened walk through practice where he can just climb the ladder and go get balls that you think are 5 yards overthrown. All of a sudden he snatches it and comes down with it. So we're excited about Messiah. Obviously, he's a 6-year senior. He's a grown man. He's mature. He's like the old wise uncle in our tight end room. But he's a great kid, and the guys look up to him, and he carries himself in the right kind of way where he makes everybody better around him. So I'm excited for him for this senior year. And I think he's going to really, when it comes time for fall camp here on Monday, I think he's going to elevate his game, and I think everybody's going to respond to that.
I know you were on a podcast early in the summer, and he called Bryce Pierre a Sunday player. I have to think that implies that he made really quite a jump in your eyes in spring practice.
Yeah, I thought Bryce had a phenomenal spring. I knew I was really liking what he was doing, and then Coach Baldwin came to me and goes, "Hey, Bryce, I really like Bryce." And Coach Dillingham came to me and said, "We really like Bryce." It was like after a while, everybody started recognizing it. So, I wouldn't make that statement unless it was something that was really being reiterated by people around me. And the kid's 6'5 plus. He's long. He's filled out his frame. He's over 250 pounds now. He runs like a receiver. He's added the physical element to his game to be able to play in the core. And I think the sky's the limit for Bryce. I really think he's a very underrated player in our program and in this conference. And I'm excited for him to break out this year. And we feel really comfortable about the guys we have. I think we can play them in a lot of different groupings in a lot of different ways. I think Bryce is multiple. Jalen obviously is going to be on the field as much as possible. And Messiah and even Ryan Morgan, who had a great spring. And people like to forget about him, but if you go back and watch from practice 1 to practice 15, Ryan Morgan was consistently good all spring long. He's going to be a major contributor on special teams. He's a really good, tough, physical player, and I think he brings a lot to the table as well. So we're really excited about that group.
So this obviously your first year, coaching at the college level. Did things go as expected? Were there some surprises along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I think it went as expected. Number one, I'm working for a great head coach, Coach Dillingham, from not from even a football standpoint, but just from a personal standpoint, the way he treats us, his vision for this program, his enthusiasm for what we're doing is contagious. So, I'm thrilled to be here working for somebody like that and being a part of a program like this. The staff that he hired, to be able to work under Coach Baldwin, who, I knew beforehand and had a lot of respect for. I know people people that have known him really well, that are people that I trust, that couldn't say enough good things about him, and now getting the chance to come in and work with him and learn from him has been phenomenal. But I mean, like Charlie Ragel's been awesome to me. Having Sean here has been great. Songa Tuatele, our line coach, is a great coach and a better human being. Rashad is coming from the NFL and the experience he's had and his knowledge of the game at a young age. I mean, it's really been special to be a part of this group, and I'm excited about it. It's a bunch of guys that love this place, that care about this place, that are competitors, and it's been phenomenal. So nothing crazy, no crazy surprises. I was around it enough growing up. I was around it enough with the players that I had, come through my program, and relationships that I built, so I kind of have an idea what to expect. But it's definitely been. There's been no negatives. There's not been one day that I've kind of gone, oh man, this is too much, or I wish I was. I mean, I show up every day happy to be here and excited for our future.